to be with you. And we are starting off really nice out there this morning, but that cold weather snap that we've been having is not over. So we're going to head over to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos in just a second. We also have a live interview this morning to talk about a conference that is coming up a little bit later this month, and it is really focused on helping people who are living with autism and those who are supporting them, as well as other disabilities. And so we'll hear from the founders of some different groups that help adults, young adults living with autism, and we'll talk about some of the great work they're doing to help support the community and help people thrive no matter their circumstances and experiences. So that's a little bit later. Right now, though, get ready to head out the door. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos over here in the Pinpoint Weather Center, getting us ready to just get into full gear now because we're out of the holidays. Candace, this is the first full week back.
Yeah.
A little bit of a roller coaster to get through here.
I just finished talking to the kids this morning and Steve was like, wow, they're not as energetic as they normally are. I'm like, no, it's the first Monday back to school.
Yeah.
I don't think they've waken up at 6 a.m. since December 20th.
And why would
like
they?
That.
Yeah.
Why would they, right? Because if they did, Mom would say, go back to bed. But no, honestly, it's going to be a rough go. Not so much today. Today, as the kids are heading out the door, you're running out the door, kind of starting off the first full week of the new year. Its temperatures are going to be in the mid 70s. It's not uncomfortable. We will have some rain and some storms to dodge later on this afternoon, but it will be extremely difficult to get out of the door tomorrow morning. And I'll show you why, because not only are lows going to be down into those 30s, we're still going to have a breeze in place. So the moment it doesn't even have to be a windy morning, just a 5-10 degree breeze could knock temperatures when they get that low to significantly cold temperatures. So let's take it to the map to show you what's going on. And this, by the way, is not going to be just a cold snap. This is going to be kind of a little stretch here to certainly kind of make us really truly feel like we have participated in some sort of winter here in Florida. So satellite radar composite shows that cold front making its way through parts of the panhandle. You can see the mess though to the north where that low currently sits. Look at Richmond right now, just inundated with ice storms, snowstorms all the way up, now starting to approach New York, parts of just the Great Lakes. It's just a mess there. On the back side of this front though, significantly cold air, some of the coldest air we've seen since about December of 2022, to kind of put things into perspective. So the clouds and rain forecast still showing a warm day. We're going to be in the 70s, but then into the afternoon by about 2-3 o'clock, that's when we will start to see some of the rain approach our northern zones. Then as it continues to slide further south, you notice that a lot of the rain starts to kind of dissipate. We don't have as much heavier rain on the maps here. So the threat for some strong to severe storms will come across our northern zones. Once it moves along I-4, that threat really starts to falls off a bit and then continues to do so as it moves through parts of Brevard County. So although you see rain chances elevated today, it's not going to be an all-day affair. So let's kind of break down what you need to know. Again, that cold front comes through. It will be warm. There will be some storms possible. Then between today and tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, we're talking about a 20-degree drop. Highs will be in the 50s, lows will be in the 30s, but the feels like temperatures for the next few mornings could be down into those 20s. So your highs today, upper 70s. Our average for this time of the year is 72. And again, although we see rain chances high, this is not an all-day event. It will be kind of a ribbon of rain and storms that will come through. We'll pick up the winds, we'll pick up the rain. And at the end of the day, we certainly need any little rain we can get, especially if we can eliminate the storm chances with it, but we can't really do that with this one. So rain chance, again, will stay elevated into the afternoon. And then once that front clears, this is what the thermometers are forecasted to read tomorrow. We're talking the 30s, pretty much area-wide, maybe a few 40s right along the immediate coastline. But notice everywhere highlighted in pink, that means frost could be possible. Everywhere highlighted in the more of that maroon, darker magenta, that's going to be a freeze concern. As of now, we don't have advisories in effect. No wind chill, no frost or freeze advisories, but that all will certainly change as we go through the afternoon. But when you factor in the winds, it is going to be feeling like the 20s, pretty much sub-freezing temperatures, certainly area-wide. We'll be feeling like 24, 23 degrees inland, feeling like 28 even in Metro Orlando. And then highs are going to try to warm up under all that sunshine, but we just have such cold air in place. Highs are going to be staying in the 50s, where our average is supposed to be 72. And a lot more of the same for Tuesday, for Wednesday, for Thursday as well. Look at the lows staying in the 30s. Highs will be staying in the 50s again. This will be the coldest stretch we've seen since about December of 2022. So we are going to designate tomorrow at least an inconvenient weather day. Now, the moment, Bridgett, we start getting more advisories in place, we will upgrade that to a weather alert day. Normally, I don't like to trigger off an inconvenient weather day for cold because here in Florida, I know everyone really likes to embrace it. But when we talk about feels like temperatures in the 20s as the kids are heading to the bus stop,
Yeah.
highs staying in the 50s, it is more of an inconvenient and more of a dangerous cold here in Florida, especially for Florida standards. So that's why we are calling it a weather, kind of either an inconvenient weather day or weather alert day. We, of course, will continue to iron out those details, especially as we start getting a lot more of those advisories issued.
I'm imagining the cold weather shelters will probably get triggered
Oh,
as
for
well.
sure. hmm
Yikes.
Brace
Feels like.
yourselves, everybody. We are going into winter.
All right. We're going to get the heavy layers out
Yeah,
tonight. Okay.
do it.
Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
All right, we want to get ready to get out there on the roads with Trooper Steve and find out how things are shaping up so far on a Monday. And I would imagine probably even busier tomorrow, Steve. Good morning.
I'm sure with everyone officially going back to school tomorrow, but everyone's going back to work today. So it is kind of oddly busy out there. It's been a few weeks where we haven't seen any major crashes. So let's just go straight to traffic, if you don't mind. We do have a crash southbound 436 in Seminole County, just north of Aloma. Center lane open here. Just be cautious as you're cruising through, as first responders are on both sides of the road. I have another one at Rouse and University as well. And it's not labeled here on the map, but I need you to be very cautious along State Road 50 this morning in Alafaya. Some report of some police activity taking place there around a Lynx bus. So please be very cautious. I have another crash eastbound I-4 at 535. Left lane was blocked. Let's see if it's still blocked here. In 3, 2, 1, yes, it is. So left lane still blocked out here. You have the Florida Highway Patrol with the road rangers out there getting you to scoot on over. Listen, Bridgett, this is messing things up this morning. We are now delayed pretty heavy eastbound from 27 all the way through the attractions, meaning we're getting a pretty big drive time this morning. 52 minutes from Champions Gate to downtown Orlando, and that is pretty accurate. We haven't seen this drive time in probably 30 days, so that just lets us know crashes are back, people are back on the road, and the holidays are over. And we're starting to see that delay also in Seminole County, and this is basically that routine stuff westbound there at Lake Mary Boulevard. So outside of that, we're pretty back into the routine, Bridgett. People need to make sure that they're checking those holidays back behind them and they're focused on the safety out on the roadways, because what's the next big thing that we get several days off? Spring break would probably be the biggest one that the parents and stuff get. We'll get MLK and President's Day and stuff like that, but nothing as big as we just seen. So people need to be prepared.
Right, right. And then, you have those influx of folks on their holidays, a little bit different timing from overseas to come in.
Right.
Certain areas too. So anything going on today at 10?
10 today, we'll have a pretty basic one, a rumor about can you make a left on red? And I have always preached you cannot, but there is one exception out there where it's allowed. And I'm going to attempt to find it in the downtown area. So you want to join me today. And real quick, I know you have interviews to go. Please head over to clickorlando.com and check out Friday's stream where I hung out with the Florida Highway Patrol Auxiliary. We have a huge 5K, family-friendly 5K coming up at Icon Park on February 2nd, and all proceeds benefit local first responders. And the trail and the track goes through all of Icon Park. We're encouraging everyone to come out. I'll be emceeing it that day, definitely not running, but it'll be a good time.
Definitely not. Aw, come on.
I got Angie and I are going to train and get up to our 5K.
Teresa
status.
will run with you.
That's not a bad idea. That's really not. All right. I'll check you out later.
All right. Thanks, Trooper Steve. We have a few news stories to tell you about this morning. President Biden is set to go to New Orleans today for a vigil for the victims in last week's terror attack on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day. 14 people died when a truck rammed into the crowd celebrating. And for the first time, the FBI is now releasing videos showing that suspect placing explosives in the French Quarter before the rampage with the truck. News 6's Angie Casada has more on why investigators say the attack could have been worse.
Newly released videos show suspect Shamsuddin Jabbar placing explosive devices in New Orleans' French Quarter before ramming a rented pickup truck into pedestrians. The FBI confirms the devices failed to detonate due to a mistake in their construction.
He didn't use the correct device to set it off.
While the explosives didn't go off, the truck attack left 14 dead and 35 injured. Authorities call this an act of terrorism, citing Jabbar's proclaimed support for ISIS. Investigators say Jabbar visited New Orleans twice in the months leading up to the attack, using Meta smart glasses to scout his route on Bourbon Street.
He was in town at least 2 days. During that time, Jabbar, using Meta glasses, recorded a video as he rode through the French Quarter on a bicycle. This video shows Jabbar during that trip in October with his Meta glasses. As we continue to learn more about that trip, we ask anyone who may have seen or interacted with him to contact us.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will attend an interfaith prayer service tonight and plan to meet with families of the victims and city leaders.
Also this morning, Congress set to convene for a joint session certifying the results of the 2024 presidential election. Crews spent the last several days beefing up security around the Capitol building. Officials say they are not expecting to see what happened 4 years ago during the certification process of 2020, but they are preparing just in case. The Constitution requires today's session to count the Electoral College votes, which President-elect Trump won 312 to 226 over Vice President Kamala Harris. Also this morning, leaders in Edgewater, just hours away now from taking a final vote on whether or not to pause plans for new construction there, is to prevent flooding in neighborhoods after strong storms and hurricanes. News 6's Mark Lehman has more on why leaders are hoping that the moratorium will give them time to figure out the correct next steps.
Speaking to News 6's Jarrell Baker, Mike Wellendorf says his garage flooded during Hurricane Milton and his home is still recovering from Hurricane Ian in 2022.
Because I'm afraid to fix my house, because with all the stuff that's going on back here, we're just going to get flooded again.
He says things have only gotten worse with new neighborhoods built nearby, and that's why he supports a pause on construction in Edgewater.
In 2004, we didn't have these developments.
There are two ordinances up for a final vote tonight. One would be on things like annexations and rezonings with a few commercial and industrial exclusions. The other would prohibit issuing building permits that would increase surfaces that water can't absorb into, especially in the Florida Shores neighborhood.
Right now is when we need to make a difference for future generations.
Mayor Diesel DePew says during a pause, the city will conduct a survey to find the root of their flooding problems and develop a stormwater master plan.
We need to pump the brakes and see and analyze what we have to do in the city of Edgewater and see if any kind of development is adding to our watershed.
So we'll keep you updated on what happens in Edgewater today. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a live interview. Welcome back. We have an interview this morning, a live interview about a conference coming up later this month here in Orlando. And we have two great experts joining us to talk about the advantages with this conference, as well as some local programs here that will help folks who are dealing with autism and related disabilities. This morning we have Shane Campfield, founder of Hurdle, and Patty Myers, the executive director of Building Pathways Foundation. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
We're excited to share the information that you have about this conference and other organizations that are supporting folks in our area. The CDC says that 5.8 million adults were living with autism last year, but only 5% are able to live independently. And that's something that you all specialize in, is helping people going through that.
Yes, so I I created Building Pathways for that purpose. Is I just saw kids either in school or out of school not doing a whole bunch, and I know they can do more, but they need help. So that's my mission, is really to help them with their life, social, independent living skills. So
And that's personal for you, Patty. You have a son also with autism.
right, he's 23, and we're still working on some things, but yeah, just keep requiring and encouraging them. But they need to be taught certain skills. It's not just they can watch somebody. Sometimes they have to really be taught and practice it for months, years before they can get it. So
And Shane, you're the founder of Hurdle, and in your story also unique. You'll be speaking at the conference later this month, sharing some of your experiences and your story.
Yeah. I lost both my parents at a younger age, and to really partner up with Miss Patty and really share our stories, I think is really going to be beneficial to those who might have already lost somebody or who might be about to lose somebody. Because grief in itself is very unique. Now, if you throw autism into that mix, it can be really complicated. And for us to really share our stories about it, I think we could really spread like motivation and really help those who really do need that kind of support.
And I would imagine lots of people don't know about some of these organizations, so the conferences, like the CARD conference, sort of help get the word out.
right. And I'm there because I lost my husband a few years ago, and 6 months later I lost my mother. And helping my son navigate this, that I don't have a clue myself. It's, I think what Shane said, grief is challenging, and then adding autism to it, it's very complicated. It's not a topic a lot of people talk about.
What are
Grief
some
in
of the
general, we
what
don't.
what are some of the highlights of that when you consider helping those with autism deal with grief?
Shane, I don't know, is that me? Or
Just
um,
jump in.
I
Yeah, that could be you.
yeah. Yeah, I think for me, because I've walked a student in the middle of school. He lost his 24-year-old brother, and he came in laughing and told everybody I lost my brother, but he was laughing, right? So we're used to body language, right, and reading people that way, but not often are we reading correctly people with autism. So was he sad? Absolutely. Was he crying sometimes? Yes. But if you didn't know anything about him, you would think, what in the world? Why is he laughing? So sometimes their emotions are a little, I say, mixed up to our community, our environment that we're used to. But I think once you peel the layers and you help them, it's about communication, really. For all of us, expressing our hurt, and so letting them know it's okay to do whatever. I told my students that if I cry, it's okay. If I laugh, if and we can talk about Mr. Tony. I think that's crucial, the communication part about grief.
And Shane,
Let him-
hurdle stands for something very special: hard work, understanding, realization, determination, leadership, and education. So this is meant to help people overcome those hurdles, such as dealing with autism and going through grief and some of the misunderstandings that can happen.
Right, absolutely. And it's run by me and this other gentleman, Edward Kucher, who's also on the spectrum. And our goal is to get out there, like to go to different school programs, different conferences, and maybe even one day outside of the state to go to different conferences. So I don't think there's a limit to what we can do, but as long as that we're accomplishing our mission to inspire others and to really motivate them to come out of their shell and to do what they want to do, I think would be a complete blessing.
And so, what can you tell folks who maybe haven't been to the CARD conference about this experience and why they should come out later this month on January 19th?
The CARD conference is very unique. It's more about evidence-based researches. Like the first day, the Friday, is a PEPSA day for about teachers and whatnot. But Saturday and Sunday is more for professionals and self-advocates like myself and for Miss Patty. And they have a whole unique blend of different presentations. Like I remember last year they had like an improv um, type of class to where if you use improvisation, that could really help somebody, especially with autism, come out of their shell. And it's very inspiring. I really benefited from that last year myself.
And when we talk about adults living with autism versus maybe children who are diagnosed, we have quite a few people who are diagnosed later in life as well. Can you talk somewhat about that and more about the spectrum? Because we said like 5% of adults able to live independently, but that would probably be someone maybe more a severe diagnosis, or how does that shake out?
And I just want to jump in quick and say, I'm so proud of Shane because he's living with it, overcoming things, and he's chosen to stand up and speak about it. And every single person is valuable. And I'm a mom of a child with autism, and over the years, I've had quite a rude comment be made about my parenting or my son's behaviors. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I know Shane, I believe he was identified later in life, right, Shane? It wasn't when you were a young
Well,
kid.
well, it was kind of in the middle, around 2001, 2002-ish, around 6 or 7 years of age.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. But we are seeing that, right? More adult diagnoses.
Yes.
And why
I
is
mean, the
that? Is it
numbers
because of
are
testing or access to testing or awareness, or what is it?
awareness. Yeah, I think awareness is huge, and that's why we're doing this event as well, right? To help people and bring more awareness about this topic specifically. But yeah, I think, uh, I mean, we could have a whole show on this one, but I think awareness is a big one, but I just think more and more people are struggling with something. Maybe not autism, but something. So,
What would be some of the things that you would say might be struggles that people might have or children might have that maybe they should go and talk to a specialist and see if this could be part of the root?
I know, for my son, he wasn't talking. He was toe walking. He was going in circles. Um, you could tell he didn't understand what I was saying, what my language was. Um, those are some big things, but communication is key. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, they're boys. They'll talk later." That's what I got a lot. But my gut was telling me something. I mean, I didn't think autism, but my gut was telling me something is not right. I thought it was more he couldn't hear, but we did like silly tests and we could tell he could hear. So, but yeah, I think rigidness Um, you know, my son, all my younger pictures of Charlie are with his hands over his ears. So a lot of sensitivities, those are
Mm-hmm.
some things you could look at. And just because you get the label doesn't mean, a lot of people think it's like a big stigma, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly it helps get resources.
Mm-hmm.
So um but that's a challenge for parents sometimes to actually get the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid of that. But
Mm-hmm. All right. And the good thing is that there are resources out there from wonderful folks like you and Shane to help people get the help they need and get the just the resources and the ideas of different ways to learn and work through those challenges. So we appreciate your time. And so where can we go for more information on how to link up with your organizations and the CARD conference?
I know for me, building-pathways.com, we have day programs, social skills guys, housing, um, and summer camps. So you can go on the website and follow us on Facebook as well.
Okay. And Shane?
And for Hurdle, we have a Facebook page and a YouTube page. Right now, we are recording different interviews for a web series for those either on the spectrum or whatever disability or hurdle that anybody could have in life. But let's face it, who doesn't have hurdles in their life?
Great, great. Well, we appreciate your time this morning, and we'll be looking for you at the CARD conference on January 19th in Orlando. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Take care. All right. That's going to do it for us this morning. We'll see you at noon. Hope you have a great day and get those coats ready for tomorrow.